It was just over a year ago that we were given an eviction notice. Fear, heartbreak, panic.
It's definitely a public health emergency.
She's quite literally saved my life several times. Like, if she was not there, I would be dead.
With 15 million people across Ontario, we're hearing from you and the issues that you want to talk about. Today, the housing crisis is top of mind for nearly all of us.
We're on the streets talking to Ontarians about what matters most to them. What would you say is the biggest issue you're facing today?
Cost of living is high.
Property tax going up, mortgage going up, but my paycheck's not going up.
The rentals are going sky high.
You can't even get a basement apartment anymore. Everything is all shared. And they're asking ridiculous prices.
I'm lucky that I still have my parents around and family that I could go to, but I'm sure there's a lot of people that don't.
Abra Shiner is a business owner in downtown Toronto, where she lives with her husband Mike and her dog Nugget.
This is my home. This is very much my home. It's been my home for a long time. I've gone through so much in this place. I don't think there is anywhere else that I can go. It might kill me to move.
We're at Abra's house, and just to keep our germs to ourselves, I'm gonna put my mask on. Let's go. Hi, Abra.
Hi, you're my sister's friend.
I am. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too. This is my husband, Mike.
Nice to meet you. Abra, thanks so much for inviting us into your home.
I'm so happy to have you here. Thank you so much for coming.
And this is Nugget.
This is Nugget. She's my little tiny hero.
Yeah.
Her and Mike take care of me.
I don't want to talk about anything that makes you uncomfortable. So help me understand better. When did you find out that you had cancer?
I got diagnosed with cancer about 2 years ago. And then it was just over a year ago that we were given an eviction notice.
Take me back to that moment when you did get the eviction notice. What went through your mind?
Fear, heartbreak, panic, that fear of the unknown, like the whole, what the hell are we gonna do?
So you received an N12 eviction notice, which meant that they were going to move in a family member?
Yes, their son. They claim their son will be moving into this unit. There's a lot of stuff that just feels a little fishy about it. Mm-hmm. Maybe he is potentially going to move in, but why to this unit? They're demolishing one of the 4 units and building 2 larger luxury units, which will have the same square footage and layout as this unit. Mm-hmm. So why couldn't he move into one of the other units? I don't understand why it has to be this one.
And you two are navigating 2 really difficult things at the same time.
Yeah.
Any one of those things would be really hard for anyone to deal with, whether it's a health situation or, being forced to move from the home that you love. Yeah. What would you say is helping you navigate the situations that you're in?
Being together. They're both really hard to navigate. Honestly, I feel really stuck between a rock and a hard place. And I honestly don't think that the having to move thing would be so complicated if it wasn't for the cancer. I mean, when you get cancer, it impacts all sides of your life. It's definitely impacted our ability to make money. I took a bit of time off work to have surgery. And then very quickly after that, they told me it had metastasized and I wouldn't be getting better. Mm-hmm. So Mike took over the business, the bar, and runs that. But when there's just one person doing everything, plus taking care of me, helping me get to the hospital, I have days where I can't do anything. This is the heavy medication that I take. It's letrozole. I take one of those every day. So they're tiny little yellow pills. They pack a punch. They look like that. And then I take this medication, Kisqali, which is the insane medication. This costs around $6,000 a month, a little over $5,800.
How many pills would you say you take a day?
Around 27.
20. Wow.
Yeah.
With news of the eviction and what it means for her fragile health, Abra's doctors write to landlords asking them to reconsider. The Landlord-Tenant Board of Ontario calls the tribunal to decide if the eviction will be enforced. I'm hoping for a good outcome for you.
Yeah.
Have you thought about if there is a negative outcome?
I don't know what
you
I
do?
would do. I don't have anything to, there's no backup plan. I don't know what I will do. We've put ourselves on lists for community housing. They're very long wait times. I'm willing to work with my landlords. They just won't even talk to me about it.
So it's not about you not wanting to pay any more rent?
I would be happy to pay a little more rent. I don't have a lot, but I am definitely willing to work with them in that. I mean, I want a good relationship with these people. I'm hoping to continue to live here, and I want a good relationship with my landlords.
How much has rent gone up in this neighborhood?
A lot. There's a place for rent a few doors over. It's over 3 times what we pay for rent here. And we just couldn't afford it because the rents in the city right now are unreasonable and insane, and I am living well below the poverty line.
So when people say, well, just get another place, just move,
It's
why
not
is
that
it
easy.
not easy?
It's not. Why is it not easy? It's not easy because there's nowhere to go.
And also, is there a part of it in maybe the back of your mind where you don't know how much time you have left to do
That's
all
not
this
in the
stuff?
back of my mind. That's in the front of my mind. Yeah.
How do you keep so positive? Because you're...
I'm still alive. I want to enjoy it. What am I going to do? Cry? I do cry actually a lot. You know, maybe just once a day. I don't want to be unhappy. I'm still here. There's still life. I have what's important. There's a lot of comfort in this place for me. I've done most of my living here. Honestly, this is where I want to do my dying. I really hope that's possible.
Nearly 2,000 residents will be evicted by an N12 notice alone this year in Ontario, along with thousands of other evictions. Many have nowhere else to go.
I think if you look around the city, you'll see a lot of these old buildings are being torn down. And what's most often happening is that they're being turned into condo buildings that are often just not very affordable for the average person. And so a lot of these old rooming houses, for instance, was housing for people on lower income. And the fact of the matter is when they come down, people end up on the streets because there are no other options. Higher rent is the same as more tents.
I believe the last figure that I read, there's more than 10,000 people who are unhoused in Toronto. How did we get to this point?
Things have gotten worse because we don't have a coordinated strategy around housing, and we haven't had one in a long time. The numbers are often a very rough estimate. So even when we say there's 10,000 people unhoused, there's a lot of people that are often missed in that count. That number also doesn't count the people who are couch surfing, so they're technically unhoused as well, but they're not counted in the numbers.
I can still like see like my tent setup, like my bed was like right where you guys are standing, and then I had like a shelf here. So it's weird, like I can still like see it like overlaid. It's weird.
What do you think people misunderstand about why you are where you are?
2 years ago, I was at U of T. I graduated from high school a year early with like a near 4.0 GPA. You know, you go to school, you study hard, you get into a good school, you study hard again in order to make it in this society, and then like my mental health and my, you know, just there was just no space for neurodivergency. So I ended up dropping out, and then me and my partner, who was cohabitating with me, broke up. Neither of us could afford rent on our own, and then I was on my friend's couch.
I used to live near here where I was evicted from, and I was on a second floor walk-up, so I couldn't have a chair, so I just couldn't go out most of the time. And in the park, the city offered me 3 offers of basement apartments, and I told them I was never again going to live somewhere I couldn't have a wheelchair. So they kicked me off the list.
Help them understand why you would choose, quotation marks, to live here than go into a shelter.
I have community here. You know, I had, you know, friends and allies and people that, you know, I could count on. And even when the park did kind of become pretty dangerous for me, like I still like chose to stay here because I know the dangers here and I know I have allies here and people who will keep me safe.
You two seem really close.
I mean, she's quite literally saved my life several times, like in a very literal, like if she was not there, I would be dead way. Like, I mean, you visited me, you know, when I was in the tent, and I mean, we still like, yeah,
kept each other safe.
and it's like, that's, you have to have that in order to survive.
In the 90s, the federal government, facing big deficits, cut funding for affordable housing for the first time in 50 years. As well, in Ontario, rent controls were eliminated on vacant and new units, making the problem worse in the decades to follow. Families forced to leave communities due to unaffordable housing, encampments in public parks, all leading to open conflicts with police.
The cops, so the city will come in and destroy tents pretty much every day. And like they'll shake people's tents, they'll kick their tents, and like people are dying.
Police! Get the out!
This creates a sense of fear, right? Like in terms of self-preservation, we want to make sure we're okay. It's definitely a public health emergency. Different provinces or different cities have declared it an emergency, and then we really haven't seen much change. Like our shelters are still full, we still don't have housing. We're using TTC buses as shelters this winter. Like, I do think during COVID, when a lot of realities around homelessness became a lot more visible, a lot more people realized that this is much closer to home than ever before.
You've actually said that we're all closer to becoming unhoused than millionaires.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think most of us know that, like, the cost of living in a lot of cities across Canada, I'm based in Toronto, like, it's expensive, right? And so, you know, a lot of people are spending much more of their income on rent than ideal. So most people don't have a lot of savings. And so I just think about how precarious, like, you know, the job market is. When somebody loses their job, like, it's hard to find a job as well. And so you start dipping into your savings, and then it's just kind of like a spiral. So you're currently living in a tent?
Yes, that's correct.
How long have you been living in the tent?
I'd say the majority of the last year. Last November, my wife really found ourselves in a predicament where we ended up unhoused. Because it's not as just simple as falling through the cracks.
Yeah.
You know, it's about, unfortunately, a really kind of harsh domino effect. I mean,
yeah.
In my own personal situation, we had been filing taxes regularly, had decent jobs. My wife's job was actually very, very good, and it ended up being firing with cause, which is always difficult. I mean, you can still kind of grieve something, but it's very difficult. It's just those little things that kind of add up. You know, we lived our middle class lives for the most part the same as other people did before us, and nowadays it's dangerous.
Yeah. A lot of the people that I've come to know over the years, I just kind of think that this literally might be the last time that I see them because of all the factors that are at play. And so I think about this work as palliative care, and that I want people on the street to know dignity while they were alive. I think Toronto Public Health said, like, the median lifespan for a homeless man is 55 and 42 for a homeless woman. This was taken at our wedding. They were like the first people that I met when I was in first year of university. Okay. They were some of the hardest working people, but our systems were just like stacked against them. And actually, these 4 of them have all passed away since.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
And so I think my hope is to see like the urgency of this, because this is really life or death for so many people.
How do you process that loss, knowing that you did all that you could do?
Sometimes it's just a few days of like, I just don't want to care about anything and I just want to sleep for days. But yeah, it'll look different in every season. If there was anything else happening in our country that was taking the lives of people at such a young age, we would be like, whoa, this is bad. Like, we need to do something about this. And yet here we are with homelessness.
Today we hope to feed about 83, 84 people. I mean, obviously that number varies. It might go up because obviously depending on what goes on throughout the day.
Natasha, we're going to meet one of the guests here, Neela.
That's right.
Can you introduce us, please?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Just.
Yes.
Hi, Neela. It's
Hi.
Natasha.
Yeah. How are you?
Hi, Neela.
Okay.
Neela, I want to
Yeah.
introduce you to NAM.
Thank you so much for inviting us
Yeah.
to your space.
Yeah.
So this is your room. How long have you been here for?
1 year, 2 months. No imaginaba que Dios me iba a traer hasta aquí.
You feel safe?
Very, very safe. Because the shelter have discipline, they are authority, but no permit drug, no permit alcohol. It's very, very safe. The community here is very important to me, and the staff feels for the resident is compassion. It's very important to me. Yeah.
This piece of land has been vacant for so many years, and everyone knows this could be housing, but instead we have it fenced off, and now we're in this battle between developers and the city about what to do with it. The answer just feels so obvious. We're seeing an increasing need for housing, on the waiting list for subsidized housing in Toronto. There's over 80,000 households on the list. And so, this piece of land is not going to address 80,000 units, but it is going to be potentially like housing for at least 100 people if we build this into social housing. When we see land like this, cities can expropriate land and just build immediately.
We're on our way to Peterborough right now. It's a city that's facing a surge in homelessness. Now, they have the land, they have the budget, but maybe most importantly, they have the determination to do something about it.
There's a crisis in Canada, but also in Ontario. I mean, we had over 60 tents that people were living rough. And so there was an absolute need for us to house these people. The inclement weather was coming on. We have 100 and some shelter beds, but they were full every night.
Yeah. There were all these proposals that were happening, that were coming to the mayor and coming to other people about, like little homes or portables and stuff. And we kind of looked at each other and said, well, where would you put the units? And we said, why not just put them right at the encampment?
I think June probably we put the order in for the units. They were on site early or late fall. People moved in November, 6 months.
There's, our residents on site, 47 of them, I believe. I've been with Elizabeth Fry Society for over 2 years, so I knew many of the residents that were coming into the modular units. Some of them have complex challenges. It could be mental health related, it could be substance use related. A lot of them struggle with backgrounds of abandonment, trauma. We have some people that have none of those things. They work full time. And because we have a housing crisis right now, they just can't afford to house themselves. So this is their option.
I did drywall for 30 years. 15 years of that I worked for my dad. 10 brothers. Altogether 10 brothers, sisters.
Oh wow,
altogether.
big family.
Yeah.
You've been in the drywall industry, you've been working with your family, you've been working for your own company yourself. How did you fall on hard times?
Separation led me to where I am today. I've been homeless now for a full year. Here, there, everywhere you kind of rest your head. Tents are hard, really hard. Last year I was in the middle of a snowstorm. It rolled through us in the tent.
Oh wow.
And destroyed all our stuff.
Oh wow.
So we decided to move away from the lake.
What is it like to be here, to have a place to sleep?
Awesome. It's a lot better than sleeping in a tent. Or sitting on a park bench. Or just not sleeping. Because in a lot of cases, a lot of us are homeless, but we're not bums.
Right.
We have money.
You've been working.
We've been working. We have money. We're not bums. We're just homeless.
All right.
Okay, so this is one of our units here.
It is actually quite spacious.
It is, yeah. So as you can see, everybody has a little heater, a fridge, a double bed. They've got some shelving, an air conditioner as well. For the summertime, the 2 windows, obviously a smoke alarm in here as well. So they're surprisingly spacious. Like I said, there's storage underneath the beds as well.
So that first night you move in from your tent, you're in there, you've got a bed.
Honestly, I was at a kid in a candy store. It was awesome.
How long did you sleep for?
Probably a whole day.
Much needed.
A whole day, yeah. I'd say at least a whole day.
So there's a large list of people, and it grows quite often. Not everybody fits the traditional shelter model. I really don't minimize, like, when I say that people are in survival mode, like how different that can look for everyone.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's not just I'm in survival mode, so I have a lot of personal belongings. It's I'm in survival mode, so I constantly have to protect myself.
The last couple years of my life has been hell, I guess you could say. But this is probably the closest thing I've had now since for the last couple of years to a home. Individual homes, individual living. We actually have, like I said, we actually have an address now. My next project is I'm going down out later on today to get my paperwork to get all my photo ID.
Okay.
So I can get back and start doing more resumes. I've handed about I don't know 25, 30 resumes.
Okay.
But no callbacks because, like I said, it's hard.
What would the cost for the police, fire, paramedics, hospital, that of course associated with it. Since we've opened this, we've had 4 calls for service. We were probably getting double that a day, 7 days a week. So it is immense what we do. When you get people housed, the costs go down for the, like I said, for the paramedics, the police, fire, and especially hospital. This is owned by the city, so we didn't have to go through that zoning application.
Yeah. I was just wondering, in terms of being able to see this site here, do you find that this site is a success?
I know people that live there, and they're really rebellious, and they would not stay somewhere that they didn't feel was working for them. And so to me, the biggest way that it illustrates the success is my friends have stayed there, and they continue to stay there.
I think when you're not living in that constant state of survival anymore, you know, kind of living in a toxic stress almost day to day, not knowing how you're going to survive. So we see people definitely a lot more relaxed. We see people with a lot less stress. People being able to verbalize what their goals are now, and looking forward to being able to achieve them, knowing that the proper supports are there for that. Definitely success would be people transitioning to long-term housing, but right now bringing them out of survival, ensuring that they feel supported and stay alive. That's success for us.
I can go to bed at night knowing that 50 people are safe in their own homes and out of the elements. I wish that for the rest of the people that are in our shelter system, that we can find a home for them.
The housing crisis has impacted so many of us, and especially those most vulnerable in our communities. But as we've seen, there are solutions. It takes work, understanding, and the will to make lasting change. Join the conversation on the thread here and online, and we'll see you next time.